I just read the chat just a second ago, and I realized that whoever wrote that last comment, you're actually 100% correct. You kind of gave it away, but I was curious about the story. I was like, now what would make people put out a hit on this woman, this mother, and kill her the way that they did, and wait until y'all get y'all the details, because normally I wouldn't do a story like this, but it did kind of involve children. But before we get to the details, let me give you a disclaimer. It's relatively short, but I've got some opinions. Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. So my source for this particular story is coming from a website called ccprosecutor.us. So I don't know if that's like a government site, but nonetheless, thank you for the article. It's short, but the details are wild. Cuyahoga County. I need everybody in the chat to please type in the chat if you've been watching me for a little while. How often have I talked about stories coming out of Cuyahoga County and kids? My channel is basically built on Cuyahoga County, not the state, not the city, just the county. I could literally probably do maybe 4 stories a month just out of that county alone, only about children. That's how insane those people are in that area. If you think I'm wrong about that, prove me wrong and stop letting me find stories like this. Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Michael C. O'Malley announced that Jamar Skanes, who's 50 years old, one of those individuals, I don't know who's who, and Jamar Skanes, and Alantez Beasley. Alantez. Oh my God, these names. I'm going to try to not be racist today because my brother is in the building. I have a problem with these names that seem like they're just made up. Like if they don't necessarily mean anything, because I think that a name is the most important thing you can ever be given. It's the first thing that you're given in this world. And for us to just be like, I'm going to just make up some shit, like it bothers me personally. But nonetheless, he's 35 years old, and both of them were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for shooting and killing a 29-year-old mother by the name of Allison Appling France in front of her children. Let me repeat, in front of her children. Now, why would these grown-ass men go that far over this particular woman? On January the 10th, 2024, Skanes and Beasley went to Allison Appling France's apartment complex and conducted surveillance on her apartment for approximately 8 hours. I don't need to repeat that. Clarence Bennett, Skanes, and Beasley then followed the victim to a local Target in Cleveland. Bennett continued to watch Allison Appling France exit her driver's vehicle with her 2 daughters, who were ages 6 and 10 years old, and enter Target. He then waited until she exited the store and re-entered the vehicle. He informed Jamar Skanes and Alantez Beasley she was heading back into her apartment with her 2 daughters. The victim's driver pulled into Appling France's apartment complex near Detroit Avenue and Berea Road in Cleveland. Jamar Skanes and Alantez Beasley were waiting for her to arrive. As the victim opened the vehicle door and began to unload groceries, Beasley approached her and shot her with an automatic firearm 17 times within a few seconds. Skanes and Beasley then fled the scene. The victim's driver immediately drove her to a nearby hospital. Of course, y'all know she was not going to survive. There wasn't a chance in the world. The Cleveland Division of Police responded to the scene on January 26. Skanes and Beasley were arrested. So here are their charges. On August the 27th of this year, or 2024, I should say, because we're getting at the end of the year, Jamar Skanes was found guilty by jury on the following charges: 1 count of aggravated murder, 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder, 2 counts of murder, 5 counts of felonious assault. On August 27th of 2024, Alantez Beasley was found guilty by jury on the following charges: 1 count of aggravated murder, 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder, 2 counts of murder, 1 count of involuntary manslaughter, 5 counts of felonious assault, 1 count of having weapons while under disability. And this man had the nerve to claim a disability. They were both sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The U.S. Marshals Violent Fugitive Task Force is actively searching for a man by the name of Clarence Bennett, who, look, I mean, you can just look at these pictures and tell they don't give a damn at all. So, and I don't know if y'all have already put this together. If y'all look at all of these pictures of her, I want y'all to notice what those pictures have in common. But for now, let me get up the picture of the person that they're actually looking for, which is this guy. This is Clarence Bennett, date of birth, that is 10/3/1980. U.S. Marshals, they have a phone number there if you want to reach out. If you see him, that's who they're looking for. But I want y'all to also take a look at, those are some more pictures of him. This picture of her, this one, all the same person. And I think I had a couple more. Let me see. And these two. Ladies and gentlemen, these are all criminal mugshot pictures. These people put a hit out on her. Now, I don't know if it's related or not, but let's take a look at some of these charges. Let's go back. This one says, in January of 2018, for aggravated arson. She was wanted for aggravated arson in Cleveland, Ohio. This one, wanted on a warrant for failure to appear on traffic charges. I mean, that's traffic charges. But nonetheless, failure to appear on the traffic charges, that's 2018. I think it was one more. Or maybe I didn't screenshot it. Let me see. This came from her page also. She said back in 2012, that's really old, but she said, no matter what you say or do, y'all hoes will always look like some fools. I just hate when people post like that on stuff on social media because it's there forever. But nonetheless, that's failure to appear. Again, I don't know if that's related, but nonetheless, let me give you guys the fair usage and we'll go from there. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. Y'all do me a favor, if you're listening to this, please hit the thumbs up. I think I'm going to give y'all a perspective by listening to this particular video that you won't get from any other YouTubers talking about true crime or talking about this story, okay? But please hit that thumbs up. Listen to this. This took me an hour to fix this 5-minute video of the audio because it was just court audio, so I had to adjust it. But hopefully y'all can hear this really good. This is the dead woman's friend, and she basically tried to say how good of a person she is, even though she did some bad things in her life. That didn't make her a bad person. So here's the thing. Making you a bad person is a thing called subjective. It only matters to whoever is judging you. So with these two fools that decided to go kill this woman, what did they think of her? I don't really know, but they thought it was serious enough to end her life over. And that's part of why it makes it really sad, because they did this in front of her kids too. But listen at this. She tries to make it seem like she's just a really, really good person.
So I wanted to, can I face them?
Sure.
Okay. So, everyone, I met Addison, we were 12 years old. We did a lot of things we probably shouldn't have did, right? But we also did a lot of great things, like go to church and pray. We tackled life together. I don't know you, she didn't know you guys. She loved people, especially bums. She did. She loved crackheads and bums. She loved everybody, but especially you two types. So I just want to say, may God have mercy on your soul for taking someone away from me and her daughters. You guys did something so heinous, so disgusting in front of her kids. You smirked at me. You're smirking out, and you guys have kids. I just pray that God have mercy on your soul, and whoever called you to do this, I pray He have mercy on you too as well. That's all I wanted to say. Allison was a great, beautiful woman. I can't see anybody doing anything to harm her. So, unfortunately, I watched her give birth. I watched her grow. We grew together, and I couldn't ever imagine that at 29 years old, when we were just at Memorial and Brush High School, planning our 30s and 40s, that she wouldn't even see it. I couldn't even imagine. And to be taken out by somebody that she didn't even know, stalked, and just outright disgusted. It took, I don't know how many of you guys. She was a very powerful person. And understand, you guys will live with that for the rest of your life. Your kids will live with that for the rest of your life. That's all I have to say.
Today we learned the two men convicted.
Now, it actually makes me glad that I went back and fixed that audio, because I had to do a hell of a lot of editing to fix that. But if y'all heard what she said, I want y'all to just think about this. I'm not saying that she deserved what she got at all, because I can't imagine. Well, considering it's Cuyahoga County, there's no freaking telling what the hell could have possibly happened. Just to be real, because a lot of bad stuff has happened. But the fact that somebody wanted you dead that bad, was it a baby dad? Was it a female that you made mad and this female sent these dudes after, paid for a hit? Like, I hope that they get everybody involved in this. Like, I would just love to know what precipitated it to this point.
In the killing of a Cleveland mother in front of her children will spend the rest of their lives behind bars. We want to warn you, the details of this case are disturbing.
You sold your lives for that bit of money you got to kill a young mother.
What the state describes as a murder for hire happened earlier this year on January 10th. A jury and a judge found 50-year-old Jamar Skanes and 35-year-old Alantez Beasley guilty of stalking and killing 29-year-old Allison Appling France as she went from her home to the Target on West 117th, then back to her home. With her two young daughters in the car, Beasley shot Allison 17 times with an automatic weapon.
As you brutally executed her in front of her children. It was cold, it was calculated murder, completely devoid of any humanity.
Beasley chose not to speak in court today. Skanes, who was in the car during the stalking and killing, apologized for what Beasley did, but denied any involvement. The judge didn't buy it, and he sentenced both to life in prison without the possibility of parole. A third suspect, 44-year-old Clarence Bennett, is still on the loose.
We also heard from Allison's mother talking about the impact this has had on her and Allison's 10 and 8-year-old daughters. We'll hear from her in the news at 5.
Two men convicted in the killing of a third suspect has been indicted in connection to a deadly Cleveland shooting. 43-year-old Clarence Bennett is accused of shooting Allison Appling France in front of her two kids back in January. He remains on the loose tonight and now faces several charges, including aggravated murder. Two other men previously indicted have both been charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Two men convicted in the killing of a Cleveland mother in front of her children will spend the rest of their lives behind bars. Tonight, we're hearing from the judge and the victim's mother. Matt Rascone has more from inside the courtroom.
True justice in this case is beyond the reach of this court.
The facts of the case are disturbing.
It's a nightmare. What my daughter experienced is sick.
35-year-old Alantez Beasley and 50-year-old Jamar Skanes didn't know Allison Appling France. The state says they were hired to kill her.
You sold your lives.
On January 10th, the men stalked 29-year-old Allison for more than 8 hours at her home. They followed her to the store And when she returned, Beasley shot Allison 17 times in front of her 8 and 10-year-old daughters.
These little girls cannot live in fear that someday you're free in this world.
Beasley declined to speak in court.
I am terrified of my dad because I am not a killer.
Skanes apologized for what Beasley did, but claimed he was only there to get a ride to work.
I had no idea all this was going on. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Judge Brendan Sheehan didn't buy that argument for a moment, pointing to evidence that showed he was with Beasley the whole time.
The fact that you stood here and tried to act like you had no idea what was going on is disgusting to this court.
Authorities are still searching for a third suspect, 44-year-old Clarence Bennett. But in court, the state and family's focus was on Beasley and Skanes.
Heartless, evil, weak men.
And working to get the longest sentence.
Keep them from us, please. From society.
The judge agreed and sentenced the men to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Allison's 2 children are now living with their grandma, Russ.
Boy, man, look, at the conclusion, of course, y'all remember, like, I generally don't do stories unless they have something to do with children. This traumatizes children. Matter of fact, my brother was just telling me, it's amazing with her getting shot 17 times. Like, that just would have ate her body up. Crazy. And luckily, the children weren't even harmed. Like, that's just amazing in itself and a blessing, and just thankful that those children will get an opportunity to grow up and become something great. So we definitely pray, and you just never know what humans, what individuals will just bring about a change in this world and just make where you come from a different place, make this world a little bit of a better place. But we definitely got to start giving our babies an opportunity to get there and allow them to grow up, right? So that's why I focus so much on the kids and protection of the kids. Whatever she had going on in life, I don't know whether it was her own karma, have no idea. If people know or you come from that area, I know a lot of y'all from Cuyahoga County tend to get pissed off at me. But if you know something, if you want to speak on it, feel free to email me. I'd be more than happy to talk to you. Don't speculate. If you know, let me know. We could talk about it from there. But once that third person gets caught, the Bennett guy, Clarence Bennett, then there'll probably be more to the story once we find out what his charges are. But it sounded like he participated. So I'm assuming it was probably 2 shooters and a driver. So one of the shooters got away. That's what it sounded like to me. But for that fool to be there 8 hours and not know what was going on, that's BS. We already know that. But thank you guys so much for listening to the story. Keep those children and grandma in your prayers, man. Thank you.